Born in 1915, Ingrid Bergman would go on to be one of the greatest stars of the golden age of Hollywood, starring in multiple Hitchcock thrillers. But Hitchcock wasn't the only director she worked with multiple times. The series of Bergman films I'm going to talk about today are the three she made with an Italian director named Roberto Rossellini. Rossellini practiced, among others, a filmmaking technique called Italian neorealism. Notable aspects of this style of filmmaking are focusing on the poor and working class families of society, using mostly non-professional actors, and filming on location either in rundown city centers or in rural farmlands. The first movie Bergman and Rossellini made together was called Stromboli in 1950, in which Ingrid plays a Lithuanian refugee named Karen, who is escaping an Italian internment camp by marrying a fisherman named Antonio, who comes from the titular volcanic island.
Che pazzo, tu non sai niente di me.
The movie is about being uprooted, taken from a secure and safe homeland, and dropped into an unfamiliar, harsh, and barren land where you don't know anyone, are unfamiliar with the local culture, and are treated harshly by the locals. The neorealism here is taken to an extreme, with actual footage of men, women, and children being evacuated from the island as it erupts. Bergman is fantastic as always, using vulnerability and grace, which she then pivots into assertive strength and forcefulness when she's had enough.
You're not going to keep me here, are you? It's no use looking at me that way. It won't do you any good. Nothing can keep me here.
Rossellini's camera work is understated, moving only when necessary and graceful when doing so. The background extras are played by real villagers, while Roberto gets lively and authentic performances out of them. Stromboli is a great example of all of Ingrid Bergman's strength as an actor and a great introduction to Italian neorealism. The next movie that Bergman and Rossellini made together was 1952's Europe51. This movie finds Bergman playing an upper-class aristocrat, spending her days planning parties, attending parties, and cleaning up after previous parties. All of this at the expense of her neglected son, Michael, who throws himself down a flight of stairs, breaking his hip, and ultimately ending his life. Rossellini made this movie based on his interest in San Francisco of Assisi, the patron saint of animals. The underlying theme of this movie is how would a saint be treated in modern-day than 1950s Italy. This movie surmises that a person giving up material gain, selfishness, and a devotion of oneself to the service of others is akin to developing a mental illness. Bergman's portrayal of a woman transformed from one who is fully self-serving and self-obsessed to one who is only interested in helping others around her is extraordinary. The way she looks at those who are less fortunate, not with pity, but with a revelatory gaze that is completely free of judgment, she just wants to help. Europe51 is a fantastic second outing from Bergman and Rossellini. One other movie I want to talk about today is Wong Kar-wai's 2000 masterpiece, In the Mood for Love. This movie is one of the most well-shot pieces of cinema I have seen in a long time. Having just seen Road to Perdition, both movies are a masterclass in blocking, composition, and scene production. Anyone that has any appreciation for the presentation aspect of movie making will fall in love with the stunningly gorgeous aesthetic of this world. In the Mood for Love is about two people, Tony Leung's Chow and Maggie Cheung's Sue, who are both experiencing marriages that are coming apart at the seams. A different movie about two people in crumbling marriages who have the two leads being sexually intimate, making the movie about the lovemaking. Here, we never see the sex, if there even is any, so the viewer is left to make up their own mind about what may or may not have happened. Another interesting aspect is that we only ever see each person's spouse out of frame, which may be meant to show the emotional separation of each person's relationship. Throughout the movie, there is this constant hum of activity subtly existing in the background, which gave me a feeling you get when you fall asleep during a Thanksgiving or Christmas. There's something about small, cramped Asian apartments, which I also felt in the Ghibli movies, a certain warm and inviting feeling. If there's no other reason to seek this movie out, then let it be the slow motion scenes where our characters are walking by each other with plucking strings playing in the background. It is a sight to behold. Tony Leung and Maggie Cheung are exquisite here, exchanging looks of desperate longing, lonesomeness, and desire, all in the span of 30 seconds. They play off each other beautifully, betraying only the slightest hints of romantic attraction at the edges of each scene before the camera abruptly cuts. Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love is a masterclass of cinematography, subtle romance, and a great place to start when exploring contemporary Chinese cinema.